Hello, Mobility Athletes. Welcome to another episode of Mobility Athletes Radio. And we have an amazing guest from CrossFit Conjugate today. Alex is here, and he has been CrossFitting for 8+ years. He did the Open first in 2013, and he made his first debut as an individual male in 2014 at regionals, went to regionals in 2014, 2016, and 2017. But really, his claim to fame in CrossFit Conjugate is not just his own individual efforts, but his amazing talents as a coach. And that's what he's really here to share with us today, is how he continues to manage coaching, his family, and his own individual fitness goals as he continues his pursuits in the world of CrossFit. So welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, we would love to hear your story. You've been coaching for almost 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into coaching? What was kind of the evolution of your fitness leading up to CrossFit?
Honestly, if everyone knows me, as a person, they all know that, me schooling wasn't really, my idea. I wasn't good in school, I'll be honest, reading books, going to, yes, I went to class, but, I just never couldn't focus. But the part of my growing up was sports. My dad and me, we had a really good engagement of, hey, baseball, football, track and field, all the main sports. And, that was kind of, my passion. That was, what I wanted to always go in for. So I was very active in what I did. And even before CrossFit, I've always liked that coaching aspect. I've always looked up to my basketball coaches, my football coaches, my track and field coach. And I've always just knew that's kind of what person I wanted to be. So it always was kind of in the back of my mind. And honestly, even before college, I was working at a fitness industry, Lifetime Fitness. And I was just doing maintenance there. And I was just, honestly, just folding towels and cleaning bathrooms and just trying to make a living. But at the end of the day, I'm just I'm better than this. I need to do something that's involving with fitness and not just watching people work out. And just, I want to be more active and more hands-on with people. And I got an opportunity to go to a gym, not CrossFit Conjugate, just to work out. And it just kept on building and building. And as soon as I kind of was there for 6 months, I actually got one of my good friends. He actually was the one that was my witness when I got married. His name is Hunter Britt. He's actually at Invictus right now. He's one of my real good friends, and he actually invited me to come out to CrossFit Conjugate. And then kind of one thing led to the next. I went there as a member, hung out with a lot of people, grew as an athlete, and they asked me to coach one day, and then I haven't looked back since.
That's awesome. What are some of so tell me about this transition, because some people talk about it being difficult, a transition from being an athlete in the gym to being a coach and mentor in the gym. How did you best navigate that? Or did you feel like it kind of came naturally?
I think, honestly, it did kind of come natural, but I think being at Conjugate, and honestly, being anywhere where I'm at, it's just having the people skills, having the relationships with people. And it's just that's being a coach, my responsibility is them. You know what I mean? Yes, I want to be an athlete. Yes, I want to be the best type of person I could be as a competitor. But if I don't coach, people don't look at me the way I want them to look at me. I want them to look at me as a coach first. And that's how my mentality is. I want to coach first, then athlete. And I want to show that, you know what, you can coach and you could be an athlete at the same time. And I think that's a real good part of this sport is, coach, athlete all together in one. That's kind of what builds a community to me.
I agree. What do you think that some of those qualities are? Because Brett Bartholomew, I listened to a lot of his stuff, and he has made a couple of comments just being really careful about how far your own personal endeavors go as being an athlete with how that melds into your coaching abilities, and just being very cautious of, making sure that you always have your coaching at the forethought of your mind, especially if you are a head coach in a gym or an owner of a gym. How are some of those, what are some of those things that you've noticed that you either have to hey, I'm going to really push forward and show up as a mentor by doing my own stuff? And what are some of those gray zone areas where you have to be careful and you have to think, hey, today I need to be more in the coach role?
I mean, always know when I'm at the gym, I always know all eyes are on me. So if I trip and fall, everyone's going to find that out in 5 minutes. So it's if you make a mistake, we're all going to make mistakes. I know that. But if you make a mistake, everyone's going to know. So my first ideal thought when you asked that question was I have to be a leader. So for instance, us coaches at Conjugate, like we take very much pride of like, you know what, like if I have 10 things to do in a day of, as in like training, one of those things needs to be, you know what, I'm going to go take class or be involved with the community in some way, because people will notice that. Because the last thing we want is somebody like, okay, today's workout, let's just say it's Fran. So 21, 15, 9 thrusters and pull-ups, but I want to do heavier Fran. But you know what though? Like it's okay to do it with class as long as you have the intensity there. And that will go a long way of, you know what? Like Luke, he's another coach at Conjugate. He'll coach, I'll go take his class, even though I'm another coach, showing the members that, hey, a coach takes class too, that will go a long way. And then I have all day to work out. Some of these other members, they only have an hour of their day. So if I can take 30 minutes out of my day to ask or answer a question or help somebody, that's okay. Because at the end of the day, I'm very appreciative of what I have. And I think a good coach and a competitor needs to realize, hey, you know, our job is doing this. 99% of the people that we are dealt with or we deal with or we work with, they only have an hour. So we just got to remember that. Like I have all day, they have an hour.
I think that it's really important to, it sounds like you guys have a great resource and a great team. And I know being at CrossFit Conjugate, you can really tell your members really look up to you guys as coaches. But also, I mean, even having you on the podcast was because Nicole talked so highly about you as a coach and really what she thought you brought to the table. So what are some of the resources that you use either inside your gym? Do you guys give each other tips, or even whenever you started, did you guys give tips to each other on how to be a better coach, how to give better cues, what courses, certifications, books do you read, podcasts, anything along those lines that could further help develop those coaching abilities?
Since I've been there for going on 6 years now, and I've dealt with a lot of coaches in, out, kind of, they move this way, blah, blah, blah. My first thing I tell coaches is don't try to be me, be yourself. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I don't want you being this person when you go home and then being a different person when they come to the gym. So I'm saying, number one, if I coach this way, okay, learn from it. Or, hey, that person coaches that way, I'm going to try to learn. Absolutely. But don't try to change who you are. Like you have to be yourself when it comes to coaching, because at the end of the day, people are going to respect you more if you're yourself. And then like when it comes to like certifications, we're all different. Like if you take all the coaches at Conjugate now, I'm very big, and my main, like not priority, but my main aspect of learning is the powerlifting side. That's like my background. Because believe it or not, my first job was actually working at the sweatshop, the powerlifting gym, not Conjugate. I actually did that first before I even did CrossFit. So like my background is powerlifting. That's kind of what I do. And some other coaches like Nicole, obviously, you know, she's all gymnastic-y and very weightlifting-y, and I've learned from her. Luke, another coach, he's very gymnastic-y and weightlifting-y as well. So I'm learning from them. And they also can learn from me from the powerlifting side. And then we have other two coaches, Jamie and Jason. They are more like kind of like the Conjugate stuff, because they came to Conjugate to learn about powerlifting. So we, all of us coaches, have different aspects of what we bring. So you bring us all together, and then we make a hell of a team. That's kind of what makes it really fun for us.
I think those are some of the best gyms that we see, the best programming that we see, and really the best outcomes too for your members, whether it's personality wise or whether it's actual programming wise, what they need. I think it is very unique that what you said, keep yourself as an individual, because there's someone in that gym that's going to match with that personality, whether you're more outgoing, shouting, rah, rah, or whether you're more quiet and precise and detail oriented, wherever you fall, there's going to be somebody that needs that, and that's what keeps them in the gym. And I think whenever you can kind of highlight that, it really helps people grow as a coach. And we can always, you know, continue to move the needle as far as our expertise and what we feel comfortable providing for our members. But I think staying true to, you know, who you are is always very important.
Absolutely.
You talked about powerlifting in your big background, and CrossFit Conjugate's programming is very interesting because you guys correlated with Westside Barbell, correct? And a lot of your programming is shared. So tell me about how that really makes CrossFit Conjugate kind of a unique community in the CrossFit community as far as the way that you guys program.
When it comes to CrossFit and when it comes to CrossFit Conjugate, and I'm not saying anything about another gym, but you get the average gym of, hey, let's warm up. Let's do a good Metcon. let's do maybe one accessory and then stretch and then go home. Great lifestyle. That's an average CrossFit, 100%. That's great. But CrossFit Conjugate, our first priority is strength. Like our main priority is strength, obviously, / powerlifting. So our main priority is the first part of class is we do a dynamic or a max effort kind of accessory. It comes with safety squat bar, camber bar, box squatting, chains, bands, some kind of combinating resistance, some kind of variation of that. So when we are doing that aspect of a strength position, we always do an accessory to back that up. So like, for instance, Monday is always max effort lower. So like, let's say it's safety squat bar, 1 rep max. Okay. And then we do an accessory to back that up. And we always explain that and then follow that up with a Metcon. And then after a Metcon, usually we try to do, okay, hey, here's a finisher, here's core. So for CrossFit Conjugate, we're trying to do 4 to 5 things in an hour time lapse. So we're rushing, we're moving, we're going. And I love it when people drop in. Let's say it's Christmas time. People, I've been CrossFitting for 6 years and, I love it. And it's like when they take our class, they're like, wow, like I didn't realize, number 1, how fast you guys move. Number 2, how well everybody moves. And number 3, how strong everybody is. Mm-hmm. Like people don't realize like how strong an average member at CrossFit Conjugate is compared to the average CrossFit community. We take strength very serious and we're very good at it.
I think too, it's really interesting, especially, obviously right now where we're at, health is a huge conversation, but strength is something that continues to intrigue me. I was a triathlete prior to finding CrossFit. So I'm like, run, bike, swim. And I used to cry every time I got on my bike for more than like a 20-mile ride. And so last year was the first year that I did triathlon with about 2 years of CrossFit underneath my belt. And I had not hardly cycled at all, maybe once a week. I cycled faster and I never fatigued. And I think I just didn't have that baseline strength to even work into my endurance system. And I don't think there's not this good understanding. It takes a long time to develop true strength too.
Absolutely.
But the really awesome thing is that you don't lose it that quickly. So as we age, we know that we're losing muscle mass and brain mass and all those kinds of things. It just, typically 30, 35, things kind of start going downhill. But we can still make huge strength gains. And there's been tons of studies that have shown that that's the biggest impact on health.
Honestly, if you look at the actual powerlifting standpoint of it, the people that are breaking world records, they are in like their mid 30s to maybe even close to their 40s. And like people don't realize like, yeah, I might be turning, let's say me, I might turn in 28. Yeah, things might be achy, but you know what? They're achy because they're being used, So it's not like, like I've used my body. So like I want it to feel achy. Like I don't want to feel good when I'm 60. I want to be able to say, hey, I live my life and I work my ass off by getting volume in. So that's a good thing. But when it comes to just basic strength, honestly, what I like to tell people, especially people that are just like, hey, I'm here, I'm kind of scared about the strength part, but it's like, hey, do you have a child? Yeah. Are they moving to college next year? Well, when you help that individual or your child move into their dorm and you feel like you could do it all day because you have strength, but people don't realize how much strength you actually use outside of the walls of the gym. Carrying groceries, going upstairs, moving a couch. And the reason why I'm just saying move a couch, because I literally just moved the couch like less than an hour ago, and I felt good about doing it. I'm just like, well, that's good that I have strengths. If I didn't, that wouldn't be very fun. So I really do think that people overlook strengths sometimes, and it's just the stronger you are, the better you are. You just got to move just with good form.
I talk to a lot of my, just my everyday athletes too. A lot of, especially where we're at in kind of a rural community, we have a lot of like manual laborers. And so a lot of them believe, hey, I work hard all day. So they're performing manual labor all day. And so I talk to them a lot about how manual labor, though, in general, isn't ergonomically correct. So you're not moving through perfect patterns. So you're spending, let's say maybe in an average day, they're actually doing manual labor maybe 5 to 6 hours of that day, but they're moving incorrectly or in compensated patterns just because of the nature of their work. So I talk about how important it is then to come into the gym and actually train true strength in good patterns. Like you talked about how good the form is in CrossFit
Yeah.
Conjugate, because then your injury risk at work or moving a couch, it really goes down because your body is used to how mechanically you're supposed to move, and it'll compensate a lot less. What are some of the cues? Let's say somebody is squatting and they're going through a squat progression. What are some of the cues or some of the things where you would back someone off if you started seeing different types of patterns in the gym? How do you coach them through that?
I mean, well, the first thing I have them do is, okay, here, let's do a basic squat, air squat. Okay, they air squat pretty good. But as soon as you get a barbell on their back, some people, it might put them in a better position. Some people, it might kind of, they might kind of like, whoa, their chest is dropping. Their hamstrings might be tight. Their hips might be tight. Their ankles might be tight, So it kind of depends on, and honestly, you probably know about that more than I do because obviously, your mobility. But I think when it comes to cues, so like, all right, like what do I need to drop down? Like, hey, like if their chest starts dropping, okay, you know what, tighten your belly, keep your chest up, pull your shoulder blades back. That could help. If their knees are caving in, okay, that's a sign of, you know what? As a conjugate coach, their hips are weak if their knees are caving in. So I'm going to have them squat to a box first. If you would tell me like, like strength positionings, like I would have somebody sumo deadlift first and I would have them squat to a box first. Because why? Because it gets your hips involved. And the more stronger your hips are, the better, like we talked about, moving a couch is. So that's kind of like, from a conjugate coach, that's the first thing I think about, is because sumo deadlifting will carry over to your conventional, and like box squatting will carry over to like the normal basic back squat. So like that's the thing about like conjugate as a coach is when I cue people, I would teach them that before I teach them anything else. And I think that's very beneficial for the average CrossFitter, the person that CrossFits 6 times a week for 3 hours a day. People definitely overlook that, and I think that's definitely like one of the main cues I would tell people.
I like that too, that you as a coach get a pattern where, so you have kind of that hip dominant pattern where, they have to, in a sumo deadlift, like you got to sit your butt back and get your hamstrings and glutes activated, or else you're not going to be able to get into that position. It kind of, it sets everything up where you can't cheat very easily. Not that the average person means to be a cheater. It's just that we're human beings and we come up with things really quickly. And same with a box squat, that box squat really initiates that pattern that more, we call it in PT a more knee dominant pattern. That squat pattern is a little bit more knee dominant. And looking at those things, so it's nice that you set those up even from a coaching aspect, because in big classes, even with CrossFit, technically our classes are not huge. The coach to athlete ratio is really good. That's why people come to a CrossFit gym. But when a coach can see somebody move like that and see those 2 lower extremity patterns that you're going to pretty much see replicated in every lower body movement, you already have a good idea of who's going to be limited and needs some more hands-on or some more eye watching, and who is like, oh yeah, they move pretty well. I'm going to let them move through this kind of motor plan as you go through.
Yeah.
I got little one. Oh,
Hey there.
gotcha. Water gun. Yup. He pranked me.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a water gun too.
Yep. That was impressive. I mean,
hopefully that was water.
It was.
Okay.
How old? Do you have kids?
No, but I mean, I could turn the computer right now, and my 2 kids are sitting at the table
Oh
right now.
my gosh.
Like, listening.
Well, they look more well-behaved than my 5-year-old who's home from school and going crazy.
You gotta enjoy it. You gotta enjoy the memories, right?
Well, anyone that's actually listening on the podcast is going to be like, what the heck just happened? So my 5-year-old just came in with a water gun and said, hi, mama. And then when I turned to look at him, nailed me with the water gun. So, and then screamed, pranked ya. Yeah, but everyone that gets to watch this on video, you should probably go watch, because I'm sure my face is going to be priceless on the record. Okay, so let's actually talk about, let's mold into, what are some of the fun parts about CrossFit coaching and the gym for you? What are the things that you really think keep members coming back? Obviously, great coaching, learning how to move, but CrossFit, and I know CrossFit Conjugate's really about the community. How do you guys develop that every day?
I mean, it's the relationships that you build. It's the the time that you guys have with the members. It's the gatherings. It's the, hey, did you watch that movie last night? Hey, did you see the Bengals game last night? And just getting to know the members, getting to understand what they do for a living. Like, what's their kids' names? Where they went to school? What's their dogs' names? Where they live? Like, it's the gathering of just knowing the members themselves. Because I love to I would never call a member at CrossFit Conjugate or my job a client. I don't look at them as clients. I look at them as like my family. Like, they're part of like who I am. You take away the gym, like, it's just like, that's so many relationships in my life that I wouldn't have. And I think the best part about like the job and makes it fun is just, like I said, the relationships, like the relationships with the members, the relationships with the staff members. It's just, that's the funnest part about, I don't know if funnest is a word, but that's the best part about like my job, is just basic friendships, I think, in the community aspect of it. And honestly, seeing people PR, having people work on a muscle up for 6 months and can't do it. And then when they do their first muscle up and you see their legs just a dangling because they're so excited and they're screaming, and then they post it online an hour later and they
Yep.
get 300 likes. And like, that's like why I do what I do. Even if I don't even coach them on it, the fact that they're just motivated to do it and they just work at it and they build a good work ethic, like, that is the best part about my job. That's what makes it fun, is
Right.
seeing people's lives change.
And I
So I
think
think at the end of the day, yeah.
it's really interesting. We interviewed CrossFit Bison, and
Mhm.
they were actually the gym that won the affiliate cup this year in the Open. And that's
Mhm.
exactly what their owner said too. Their owner said, you know, how crazy and amazing that it was just to have the stories in the gym and really be able to sit there and look at people that you coach or people that are members and know how much that you changed their life.
Mhm.
And you know, we know so much about each other in the gym. I mean, you can tell when someone's having a down day, and maybe you don't even necessarily say anything. You're just like, hey, I'm here, I'm going to let you work through your workout. But a lot of times they'll open up over time, and it really is powerful what fitness can do for people.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, honestly, like, it could almost build somebody's like an addiction, and it's not like it's a bad addiction. It's like
Yep.
I mean, honestly, what we're going through right now, it's really showing like everyone, like, wow, like, I had an addiction going to the gym. The fact that I haven't been to the gym the last 4 days,
Yep.
it's like, it's crazy. And honestly, like, the fact that they are missing a gym so much, like, that's due to, I feel like a big part of is due to the coaches at Conjugate, because it's like, if we weren't good at our job, they wouldn't miss the gym very much.
Yeah.
And honestly, at the end of the day, it's kind of bad to say, but it's like, I'm kind of happy that they miss the gym, because it's like they miss us. They miss us coaching. So it's like, we're doing a good job at it. And honestly, that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, you know, it will, I hope, I think as we go through everything, I tend to be very positive. And as we go through everything, my goal is always that people really can get something out of this. And I think for us in the fitness community, two things can really come out of this: that what you eat and how you treat your body is
Mhm.
extremely important.
Yes.
And also that sometimes, like, we need communities. And I have seen, you know, CrossFit communities or just other fitness communities. Obviously, I'm a little biased to CrossFit and triathlon,
Yeah.
but other communities stepping up, reaching out, checking in on people, staying connected as much as they can, really also being innovative, trying to think of new ideas that they can provide. And I think it has given members a way to kind of get an inside view into like the dynamics and the framework that goes behind their gyms, because
Mhm.
they're probably getting to see you guys reaching out to them, being innovative, deciding how to best capitalize, like as far as, okay, do we go clean the gym? Are there renovations that need to be done at the gym? All these people are doing different things. And
Mhm.
now their members get to see, wow, like they're constantly planning, but now it's just like out in the open where it's always like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's amazing to think that. And honestly, it's like, a lot of members, I feel like, you know what, like, if I wanted a job, like, we work with a lot of people, like, people that are in charge of companies, corporate world. But like, a lot of members I can see, like, probably are big fans of, like, you know what, I want to do like this on a side job. I want to be able to coach, maybe not just necessarily CrossFit, but like as a side job. Like, I want to go be a personal trainer because I'm so involved with my fitness life. I want to go help with others. I want to go coach as well. So I think that's a good like storyline of people of like developing a good habit. And you know what? I've been doing CrossFit for 5 years. I don't want to go to the CrossFit Games, no, but I do want to help people. And a lot of coaches out there are probably coaches that are just, I'm coach 2 classes a week. And the fact that they're being healthy about it is amazing.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And I think, big changes. Tell us a little bit about your like own coaching style. So tell us about how you developed your style. Are you a hands-on cuer? Are you a talker? Are you a cheerleader? What are your kinds of things?
I like to be like I said, I came from football and hey, boys.
See, my boy's acting up, your boy's acting up.
Yeah, I know, right? There's the children. But like I said, like my big thing in high school was sports. So like I was very hands-on, and I think now I am like how I am now, very energized. I like a good vibe in class. I like to crank up the music. If you ask any member, I'm turning up that Rocky as loud as I can. I love just making loud music, screaming, yelling at people. Making sure like, you got 10 reps left, let's go. Come on, do 1 rep, count the 5, do another rep, count the 5. So when it comes to my coaching style, I like to be loud. I'm definitely the loudest person in the gym. And I like to be organized as well though, if that makes sense. So for other words, like some gyms, they might, all right, everybody go warm up on their own. Me, if we're running, we're all running. If we're all getting on the bike, we're all getting on the bike. If we're all going to do air squats, we're all going to do air squats. So we warm up together. I try to make sure most people are paying attention. If we squat together, we squat together, and then we work out. Like sometimes people are like, oh, I'll just go on my own. Like, no, I'll start the clock. We'll all go together, and community and family first. So very organized, very loud, and very motivated. That's kind of like the 3 main things I would say, like what kind of coach I am.
I love that. I'm obviously also the loudest, biggest cheerleader.
Yeah. Good.
That's kind of my style as well.
Yeah.
What are some of your biggest wins as a coach? Who are either you personally, things that you noticed, or members that you just really feel like have been your biggest wins, your biggest like personal, or you've helped them achieve their best personal gains?
Biggest thing me by far is just honestly being a coach, because at the end of the day, a lot of people in this world can't wake up and say, I love my job. Mm-hmm. And I can, because I really do. I don't see myself doing anything else than what I'm doing now. And like I said at the beginning of this whole thing was that like I struggled with school. I wasn't really a good in school. Like I had a problem focusing. I had a problem taking tests. I had a problem like just, tell me to read a book and read it and tell me, like I really did struggle with that. And I feel like, not to get too like religious, but I feel like God has given me a gift of bringing like my energy to people, bringing my personality to people, bringing my way of developing people's skills, developing people out of their comfort zone. And I feel like I was made to do this, and I know I don't want to change it. I always want to get better. And I just really appreciate like what I have and the coaching thing I have. And I think that's the best thing that I could say is being a coach in general. Like I can't describe myself. I couldn't. So my wife, she used to work for P&G. If you don't know what P&G is, it's a very, very, okay. So she worked it for 10 years, and like I see her dress up every day and go to the meetings and stuff. And it's like, I couldn't do that. Like that takes a certain person to do that. It's a very strong and very smart individual. And I'm not saying I'm not, not smart, but I'm saying like that would be very difficult for me to do. But some people can say I couldn't do what I do today. So it kind of goes back and forth. But being a coach, being who I am today is probably the best thing.
I think that really ties into what you said too at the very beginning about being a coach or even being a member or whoever. I think in the fitness world, I've seen no matter what the actual story is, the underlying theme is always just be who you are as an individual. Because if you capitalize on that, you'll really be able to truly change others and really give back over time. And I think that that's extremely powerful. You talked about your wife and you're recently married. Yes.
Recently married. Yep. Last July.
Woo. I'm also a July wedding, but not recently. Oh, wow. We're 10 years in. So
wow. Congratulations. Good for you.
But I know that fitness changed things for my husband and I. How did it change things for you and your wife, or has it always kind of been a part of your relationship? What's that like, doing fitness together? Does she also CrossFit? What's that look like?
So actually, it brought us together. Like so I was a coach, and she was living in Chicago, and she actually moved from Chicago to find CrossFit Conjugate because she actually had an old coach from. She actually came from a pretty competitive gym in Chicago, and when she was moving from Chicago, they told her to come to Conjugate. So it's kind of like it was almost meant to be. And and so she came to Conjugate, and she loved it, obviously, and she's very competitive. She's very good. Like she whoops my ass on a lot of stuff all the time. And it's what brought us together. And it's funny you say, does she do CrossFit? Because I mean, unfortunately, one of our first investments, because we just got a home about just under 2 years ago, our first thing we bought for the house was it was a home gym. So like, everyone's all worried about refrigerators or oven or this or that. Like we brought a home gym, and that's the first thing we got because we know that's such a big part of our lives. And we've been bonding very well, as in like after this in a couple hours we're gonna be going out to the gym working out. We already got planned what we're doing. We're gonna go for a run together. Like it's a big part of our lives. And the best thing about it is, like I said, she worked for P&G for 10 years, but she just recently left that career and started her new career as being a nutrition coach.
Oh,
And she's actually
cool.
Conjugate's nutrition coach as well. So she's actually like getting clients there too. So she's doing really good with that. And she's helped me along the way of, not only do I just need to work out, but there's another side of fitness where it's like she's helped me with my nutrition.
Yeah.
Because my first like 6 years of this was like, oh, I'll just train 5 times a day and just and not worry about my diet and just forget about it. But diet's a big part of this, and she's really helped me. So I help her with CrossFit. She helps me with nutrition, and we make a hell of a team. So it's really amazing to have a partner that you share so much with.
Do you see that a lot in your gym at CrossFit Conjugate? A lot of couples coming through, or even not necessarily couples, but even people coming in pairs or developing pairs while they're there, a support system. Do you think that that's helpful to help people stay consistent?
Very much. I mean, that's huge when it comes to getting better or having more time, because I'm not saying it happens all the time, but there's probably some people that are at the gym where they're like, oh, I can only be here for an hour because I got to get home. And it's like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. They got to go home to their families. That's great. But if you're there with your own partner, if you're there, working out with
Yep.
your girlfriend or your wife or your husband, it's like, all right, hey, we just got done taking class. Let's stay after and do an extra. Let's do some sit-ups. I do see that a lot, though. We have a lot of um, partners at the gym. They stay after class, and I see them doing synchronized sit-ups and GHC sit-ups and extra work and stuff. And at the end of the day, that makes me happy, because when you see people staying after class, that means they don't want to leave, which means I'm doing my job correctly, which is great to see. But I see that a lot.
Yeah. I think at least for my husband and I, finding CrossFit and finding fitness together really changed things too, because even now, like, especially being stuck in the house and,
Mhm.
there's not daycares and stuff like that. We both know too what each other needs. So,
Mhm.
I'll come home and I'm just like tired or whatever. And he's like, hey, I'm going to make dinner. You need to go for a workout. Like, go
Yeah.
work out and I'll be back. And I think, same for me. Like, if he's had a long day at work, I'm like, hey, go work out and then we'll
Yeah.
see whenever you get home. And I think it helps you really understand how to even support your significant other or your partner. And I think that that's like so important. The other thing that I think is really interesting, this was at least mind blowing for me, is as we get older, there's not things that we get to celebrate with
Mhm.
like each other. So, it's what do we applaud people for as adults? Like,
Mhm.
yay, you got a raise, you got a
Yeah.
promotion.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, there's not a lot of applause. But in the fitness world, like there's a lot of, oh my gosh, that was incredible watching you
Yeah.
do that. I'm so proud
Mhm.
of you. And it gives us an outlet to really be proud of our partners and highlight them. And I think that that really can continue to mold your relationship and really make it a lot deeper. And in general, people love to be celebrated.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't imagine hey, she's been CrossFitting just as long as I have, so we're very, very familiar. And honestly, like, it is hard to hey, let's try to, PR or snatch. Like, it's not every day you can go in and just PR your snatch. So it's like it's pretty hard to PR stuff. But
Yeah.
it was kind of cool though, because like a couple weeks ago, we actually programmed Fran. we don't do Fran very much because a lot of gyms just do that all the time. We're just like, well, it hurts so bad. Let's not do it all the time. But we programmed Fran, and me and her went head to head. The class was like probably like 8 people, so it really wasn't that big. And me and her went head to head, and I would not have got the score that I got if it wasn't for her. Yeah, she still beat me, but like I was trying so hard to keep up with her, and she's so fast in her pulls and thrusters. I'm just like, all right, come on, I gotta go. But that's just a great example of like us pushing each other. We both PR'd to Fran, and the rest of the day we were just smiling because, like, it was just awesome, the fact that we celebrate something and we PR'd something, and we don't take that for granted.
Exactly. I think, yeah, it's incredible what people can do together, pushing each other, supporting each other. And I think fitness is just an amazing outlet for that. I also think it's an amazing outlet because it really gives us a support system sometimes when we need it. What are some of the hardships that you've experienced either in your own athletic endeavors or as a coach, or that you've seen in others that you really feel like that the gym and fitness and your coachability has been able to help yourself or others through?
I mean, other than this time right now, like what we're going through right now,
Yeah.
like other than that, I can't sit here and name very much because I've loved every day of my job. But I think the hardest hardship of my career is honestly seeing somebody like go for a PR or going for like a lift or something, and they don't get it, and then the face, like the look of their face of like they're disappointed. But it's like I always make sure I just got to tell people, like, at the end of the day, like we still have fitness. Like if I didn't PR anything the rest of my life, I'm okay with that because I still have fitness, and that's health. And that's when we have for a future child, it's like, I want to be healthy for them. So that's kind of what I tell people. But definitely the hardest thing is seeing somebody so pumped up. They're like, oh, we got a great workout today. Let's go do it. Let's go hit it hard. And they don't get a score that they want. And like this, the disappointment that they have. But like I said, I just try to remind them of that. That's probably the hardest thing about the hardest challenge in my job is just helping people overcome things.
I think that's really, I love what you said, that I just want to highlight that for the people listening, that if you never PR anything again, you still have your health and you still have fitness. And
Yeah.
that is, man, that is huge. And again, obviously what everybody's going through right now in this moment, that really becomes to be a highlight. But even on an everyday basis, to have our health, to have fitness, even people, we've obviously, me with physical therapy, I've watched people even have health struggles, but still keep their fitness. So still do little things that they can for their mental and physical fitness every day. And it really does. It just keeps them sane, keeps them moving forward always, as they go through struggles in life. And I think it's very profound to remember that, because again, sometimes we can get wrapped up in the little things like, I feel like I can do that, 250-pound back squat or whatever it is. And to miss it is hard, but it just makes the next time that you get it so much bigger.
And honestly,
And
though, if somebody fails something, that's like honestly the best thing that could happen to you. Because number one, okay, why did I fail that? You know what I mean? Why did I fail that deadlift? Why did I fail that squat? Okay, my hamstrings are weak. All right, what do I got to do? I got to do this. All right, my hips are weak. What do I got to do? I got to do this. So honestly, it's almost exciting about failing because you can break down of what you need to work on. You can see what you can work on so you can better that. So
yep.
sometimes that's the way I look at it. If people fail, okay, it's not failing. It's just you missed that lift that one day. So it's okay. Or you missed that time that one day. So I think it's huge for people to understand, for any athlete, any sport, failing is actually like exciting because you can just, if you approach it the right way, it can be the best thing that ever happened to you. Like look at Matt Frazier. He lost to Rich in 2014. He lost to Ben Smith in 2015, and he's never forgotten that. And now no one hasn't touched him since. So that's honestly the best thing that could ever happen to him. So that's a way to look at it.
Yeah, it keeps you hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Lee, who's just a motivational speaker and coach, but he really talks about if you can take the hardest things in your life or the hardest things in the moment and you can look at them and you can say, yes, thank you. then really your life will be exponentially
Mhm.
successful. So kind of keeping to remember that. I think this is a really good place because we're wrapping up a ton of awesome advice.
Yeah.
So I end every podcast the same way, and that's if you could leave behind one piece of advice for people or athletes that you really believe would change their life, what piece of advice would you leave behind?
So I'm a big motivation guy, like YouTube or something like that. And I'm honestly like, yes, it's very sad the fact that Kobe Bryant passed away, but like I didn't realize how much motivation he actually brought to people, how he talked. And I've been reading a lot of his stuff. My dog keeps getting. He brought a lot of like good wording to others that are struggling, and him and Denzel Washington also. And they gave me there's a quote that I've always loved, and it's ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. So in other words, if it was easy, like there would be no Alex Bookout. If it was easy, there would be no people that overcome things. And if it, people wouldn't be who they are today if it was easy. So just always know how hard it gets. It's hard for a reason, and because not very many people can do it. So that's like one of the greatest quotes I've always lived by. So I think that's a good thing to remember as a competitor and a coach in anything you're trying to do.
Yes. And also, whenever things are not easy, lean into yourself, but also lean into your communities.
Mhm.
I just put up a YouTube late last night, but it was really about finding this seesaw juxtaposition of what can I give and what can I receive right now. So don't be scared to ask for help when you need it. That's why we have these strong communities. That's why we have strong coaches like Alex that are bringing all this expertise to you and really being there as a support system. Like, our coaches in our lives, the best coaches, yes, are they loud? Are they rah-rah cheerleaders? Do they help with the best cues in your squat? 100%, but also really amazing coaches. And I know the reason that Nicole recommended that you come on this show is because it's deeper than that. It's personal. It's that and you care for people and their lives and everything about them. And so I think that's so powerful for other coaches too, that it's not just fitness, it's
Mhm.
so much more. And
Absolutely.
again, you're humble, so you don't talk about that. But again, Nicole recommending you to be on this podcast, she couldn't speak highly enough of you and just the impact that you have on the gym community because of your personal relationships and your caring attitude.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on Mobility Athletes. I hope that you are taking notes, write down some of your biggest takeaways, how you can be more coachable. And if you're a coach, how can you be a better coach? What's one actionable item that you could take right now while we're socially isolated? And what's one action item that maybe you could learn, get educated, or practice in this time so when you go back to the gym, you can be better? Thank you so much, Alex. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Nicole. Thank you.
Anytime. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you. See you.